Wheels here with Windows and Wheels Auto Detailing. I wanted to come to you with a new Profit First video because I know it's been like a couple of years since I posted anything up. I really didn't have anything else to say, like other than keeping you up to date on how it's working for me. Shit, but no, I was running my my allocations today because today is the 10th, and something that I do is I keep track of all my shit in a spreadsheet. So I'm like, well, why don't I just make up a mock spreadsheet and show you guys how the fuck I do things? So me and the dog, look at him, little ass. He's always got to be under my arm when I'm here. Me and Jace are going to show you what's up as far as how we use the spreadsheet. This has a lot of benefits to it, actually. First of all, back to organization. It makes it super simple to be able to come in and pop in your numbers and figure out what your allocation should be. Second of all, it's great to be able to come in at a glance and you can see how have I been doing for the year. Where are my hot months? Where are my cold months? What should I be researching to figure out, what went well in this month and what went bad in the other. So it kind of helps you at a glance. It's kind of like a profit first cash flow statement, I guess you could call it. It kind of gives you at a glance to let you know, hey, here's how you've been for the year. Other thing it has like a nice little profit calculator here. So it'll tell you how you're doing and what kind of distribution you can expect when that quarter ends, which is kind of like a nice little countdown for yourself. And then overall, the way I have it set up is at the end here, it'll actually add up, how much money in total you have allocated for each account. Now, I'm going to break down the sheet first, and then I'm going to show you how I use it so that way you guys can follow along. So, first and foremost, on the left-hand side here, we have our accounts. Surprise, surprise. So, of course, we have the OPEX account, the owner's account, the profit account, the tax account, all of our normal accounts. I do not list the income account here. I will show you why in a second. And then I have an added account. An insurance account. So one of the little tidbits I picked up from one of the Profit First coaches actually was they have a lot of basically additional accounts the way they run it. So they may have an account for bonuses, they may have an account for insurance, they may have an account for expansion, they may new employee. Like if you have a new employee, you want to set money to the side so that way you can afford them for a few months before you hire them. They have something like that. So in my case, I created one for insurance because that's a constantly running one for us, just 2% for it. And then beneath that, and if you didn't understand any of that, go back and watch the other fucking videos. Let me just say that up front. If you don't understand that, you're not going to understand the rest of it. It's going to make no fucking sense to you. You should have watched the other videos already if you're in the goddamn group. If you haven't, go fucking watch them. That's why I made them. There's 4 of them, okay? They're a little lengthy, but it'll get you completely caught up, and it kind of sums up the book in about an hour and a half. It's a short track, all right? For those of you who are up to date and do know what I'm talking about, let's continue. So down here we have the starting amount. This is the equivalent to my income account, okay? So when I pull up my bank statement and I'm looking at, okay, how much money have we accumulated in our income account, that's where I will list that here, okay? Underneath that, I have for us, again, this is for our business, I have 2 major expenses that can vary quite a bit month to month. The first one is sub-out expenses. So summertime, this typically takes a nice spike up because we do a lot more tent and we sub out our tent. And so what I have these 2 listed here for is I want to deduct my sub-out expenses and my ClearBraw purchase expenses from my starting amount, from my income account. Because the sub-out money that I paid the guy that I sub out to, that's not my money. It went into my income account, but I pay him through my OPEX account. You follow? So what I'm doing essentially is I'm going to pay back my my OPEX account from my income account. I'll break that down in a second as well. So just stick with me. But essentially what I want to make sure I do not do is account for that money that we got paid that essentially we were just a pass-through. The customer paid us $500 for the tent, but then I paid my tenter $250. That $250 was never mine, not even for a second. Okay, I was just a go-through. So I'm not going to count that in all of my distributions. Okay, it was never mine to begin with. So that's why I created this category. And the second one is Ppf Payback. That's one to where now that we've been doing it for a couple of years, we tend to buy a little bit more inventory than we used to. It's not like buy as we need. We will stock up. So there could be months where we're buying, $5,000, $6,000 worth of film. Those of you who do PPF know how expensive those damn rolls can be. Those of you who've been doing it longer than me probably are like, damn, I remember the days of 5 or 6 thousand. You're probably stacking up 20 grand a month that you're having to store up. But anyway, it's something to where it can be a very high expense for us. So rather than trying to guess how much I need to allocate, I just pay as I go. Okay. So I deduct that amount from my income account right up front as well. So that way I'm not using the money that I used to purchase that film to distribute throughout the rest. Technically, I could just toss it into the OPEX as well, but for me, it works a little bit easier since it varies quite a bit month to month. Okay. Down from that, we have a total, self-explanatory. I guess I should actually title this, let me title this subtotal because it's not actually a total. And then we have the after PPF and subcontracting amount. Now, let me show you how these all work. First thing, I actually have some formulas built into some of these. Okay, all these ones with dashes have formulas built in. You can see, I'm trying to point at the screen like you can see what I'm pointing at. You can see up here what where the formulas are. If you don't know anything about Excel formulas, research, go to YouTube, go to Google, look up the basics. These are super basic formulas, okay? Super basic formulas. And as a business owner, you should know super basic formulas. I didn't know shit about it 5 or 6 years ago. All I saw when I pulled up an Excel sheet is like a fun game of connect the dots, and that's about it. That's about as much as I saw from it. Now I'm pretty decent with it, and when I get hung up, I got a buddy of mine, Charlie, if you happen to watch this, thank you as always, that I'll hit up with my desperation questions when I just can't find the answer through Google or through YouTube. And as an absolute last resort, there is actually an Excel Facebook group. Big fucking surprise. Join it. Ask your questions. So anyway, there's some basic formulas in here. Now, again, the first thing that I'm going to do after I open all my tabs up, we're going to starting amount. And whatever's in my income account is going into the starting amount. So for our pretend last pay period, these last 2 weeks, we're going to say $23,817.42. I put the 42 cents in there because there is always fucking cents in there. And I'm going to show you how the spreadsheet actually helps you make sure you account for that as well. Not a big deal, but I'm OCD like that, so I like to know that. Now, after I figure that out, I pull up, again, back to my bank account. Now I'm going to look at my OPEX account, my operation expenses account. All of my sub-out expenses I pay from that account, and I pay it by check. Now, the reason it's important that I note that I pay it by check is because, for my bank at least, I can look at an account and it will show me any checks deposited or any checks any checks written, and I can click on it and it'll show me an image of the check. So if I happen to forget to record it in the ledger or whatever, this is just a really simple way for me to be able to go and say, okay, in this case, I'm going to look from March 10th to March 24th and look at what expenses I have. Even though I'm running this on the 25th, I do not count the 25th when I'm doing my distributions because it is the middle of the day on the 25th and it does not account for what money we made that day or what money we spent that day. That, for me, carries over into the next pay period. In this case, April 10th. Okay? So back to the OPEX, I'm looking at the OPEX. I set the date range from, again, March 10th until March 24th. I do a quick scan of the 2 weeks and say, okay, what checks have we written? Pull them up real quick, add them up if they are in fact sub-outs, and that goes into here. So let's say, for example, we did like $1,295 in sub-out work. So tint, wheel repair, vinyl, whatever you may be subbing out. That's, for me anyway, that's what goes into that cell. Then Ppf payback. So if I bought film at all in that 2 week period, it only goes onto one credit card. So it's very easy again for me to pull up that statement of that credit card, which is in one of my tabs that I have auto pulled up, scan it for those 2 weeks as well. And if I see anything from FlexiShield USA, it's like, okay, I need to add that in. So in this case, let's say it's been a couple weeks since we stocked up. So say we went ahead and bought $3,500 worth of film. We're going to add that into there. That's it. That's it. Now you'll see the subtotal here. This is essentially, maybe I should have left that as a total. I don't know. Let's roll with it. The subtotal here, it is adding up my two expenses here. So it's taking my starting amount, and then it is subtracting the expense, it's looking at the starting amount. Cancel what I just said. Let me start that over. The subtotal is looking at my sub-out amount and my Ppf payback and adding it up. And then at the end, it is going to add all of my total distributions. Now, ideally, and you'll see it just so you can kind of keep track of it. Ideally, or not ideally, what is going to happen, it's going to take that total amount, add in what I spent for sub out, add in what I spent for PPF, and it is going to equal my starting amount. So that way I know I accounted for every penny, and it either went into one of my accounts or it went to PPF or sub out. Hope that makes sense. All right, next step. We have after PPF and sub. You can see that here in the green. So this is the one that took my starting amount and it deducted my two expenses that vary every month, and it gives me a new total. This is the total I'm going to use for my distributions. Okay? And again, the reason I didn't want to use the money up here is because that sub out money was never mine to begin with, and the PPF money, I could throw that into the OPEX account, but rather than trying to figure out how much I need to do and what percentages I need to tweak, I just pay as I go. So all we're going to do is take our remaining money, pull up Mr. Handy Dandy calculator here, and let's see here, we'll do memory clear. If you don't know how to do this, all you got to do is go to view and go to scientific. And the reason I do this is because I don't like to have to enter my total over and over and over and over and over and over and over again to do all my multiplications. So all we're going to do here is we're going to enter in our after expense, essentially after these two big expenses total. So we have $19,022.42, and I'm going to hit memory plus. It is going to save that. And now I am free to do my multiplications. So first we got our OPEX account, that's 48%. So all you're going to do is do times 48%. And we see, okay, 48% of what we just entered in is $9,130.76. So 9130.76 goes into here. 9130.76. I wish that point wasn't there. That would be beautiful, but it's not realistic. All right, so that's our first one. Now we're gonna clear out memory recall. Beautiful thing. Enters in our total that we're multiplying again, and now we're just gonna multiply this by, see here, 30%. We got 5706 and 72 cents. So 5706 and 72 cents. Now one thing you'll note is this little fucker over here. If you remember like 5th grade or 3rd grade math, you should round this up. We may be rounding that up. I'll show you in a second. We'll likely have a couple of pennies left over because I'm not rounding right now. Clear out again, memory recall. Now we're doing 10%. So times 10%. So we have 1902 and 24 cents. 1902 and 24 cents. And because my profit percentage and my tax percentage is the same, I can just copy that down. 1902 and 24 cents. And then finally, the insurance account, clear out, memory recall, multiply by 2%. We got 380 and 44 cents. 380 and 44 cents. Now, this total, the green, should match this total, the other green. So we have $19,022.40, $19,022.42. Now, if you remember, I think it was this one needed to be rounded up, so we'll just add a penny to that. And if you look at this little bastard here, this also should be rounded up to 45 cents. So we'll round that to 45 cents. If you don't want to, if you're not cool with rounding, just throw the pennies wherever you want, man. If it's 2 cents, nobody's going to give a shit. I promise you. So now we see here, the total for our account distributions matches our total that we came up with after subtracting our two varying expenses. We check out there, and then our starting amount matches our, I should have left that as fucking total. I was right. Quit correcting yourself, Wills. I was right. That is the true total. I guess I could title this maybe like count total, so it makes a little more sense. So you can see here our final total matches our starting amount, 23,81742, 23,81742. It balances out. Now I'm going to go to my bank account and actually make the transfers. What I was doing before is I was just making the transfers on the go, and guess what? Once in a while I clicked the wrong account or I did the wrong calculation, and now I had to backtrack and figure out what went where. This is almost idiot proof as long as you don't click the wrong account. Now you'll see it. Something else also changed as we went along here. Our profit distribution. So you see here, this is 50% of our profit. So this is the amount that is going to be distributed to the owners at the end of every quarter. I like this one. This one is friendly to me. The higher this one gets, the bigger my smile gets. And this little fucker too, because that means I buy him more treats. So, this I have set up basically to, again, another formula. Excuse me. Formula is basically just adding up everything that went in from here in the profit, the beginning of Q1 to the end of Q1. And then it's dividing it by 2, and this is showing me, okay, this is what our personal distributions are going to be. And then the other 50% is going to be sent into our vault, our savings account. Quick tip, I think I mentioned this before. American Express has a personal savings account. It was an outstanding 1.9% interest rate when I first opened it like a year ago, pre-COVID, before the Fed lowered the rate to 0, before shit hit the fan. Now it is down to 0.8%. However, that is still much, much more interest that I collect than what I got on a standard bank account of 0.02% or whatever the fuck that is. So I do two things. First of all, my tax money, as it allocates, I'm going to take that money and rather than letting it stay in a standard checking account, I'm going to send it away over into that savings account. Okay, because it'll at least compound a little bit of interest there. Might only be a few $100, over the course of a year, but it's better than 0, right? Second thing I do is the money that we end up sending. I used to send this again to a standard savings account, not our 50%, but the 50% that goes to the business savings. Now I send that over to a joint brokerage account. So that is a joint account between myself and my sister that is still business money, but I'm able to grow it there. Okay, so I'm able to make investments and trades now that I know how to do this shit. Just ended my year course, by the way. I'm super pumped about that. Anyway, I'm able to do that, and I track all that on a separate spreadsheet. And rather than the money, again, just sitting there, at least able to compound it to some degree and make a return on my profit money that I have sitting to the side. Now, that's what we do. You can do what the hell you want. I would suggest paying down your debt first if you have debt, but that's an option. So let me backtrack one more thing here. Once I've completed all this, now I'm making my transfers for this sub-out expense and this PPF expense. So remember, this money right now is in the income account. I'm going to send the total of these two. So in this case, what is it? $3,795. I add left to right. I'm weird, but it's faster. $4,795. I'm going to transfer that over to the operations expense account first. So that is basically paying the OPEX back for what it already spent on these expenses. Okay, does that make sense? Then I'm going to go and I'm going to make all individual transfers for my OPEX, for my owner's comp, for my profit, for my tax, for my insurance. Bam, bam, bam. It takes me 5 minutes and I'm done. All I got to do is read what's on here. Okay. Then when it gets to be the end of the quarter, we're able to look at the profit distribution, and I'm saying, okay, Danny, go in there and cut us a check. I'm gonna get, what would that be, about $2,800 roughly, 2,800 and change. She's gonna get 2,800 and change, and then we're gonna take the third amount, which is this total, send that over into that brokerage account, which that I track over here. Actually, these are all like my trades and stuff like that for this one. And you can see here, so far for the year, this is a completely different story. But you can see our year-to-date return on risk capital. We got 13%. Kiss my ass, S&P. Annualized return on risk capital, 21% is what we're aiming for. Kiss my ass, S&P. So yeah, we got a little bit of return. So basically what I do is I take a small percent of our money, put it to the side for short-term trades, and then I take the rest of it and put it to the side for long-term investments. Two different things. Another story completely, but it is another way to compound your money rather than it just sitting there. So I hope this video helped. I'm glad my little talking screen up here didn't fucking freeze like it did last time, because I got halfway through the video and my face was stuck and it wasn't fucking pretty. I'm like, I'm not posting that shit online. So I had to restart and do this for you guys. I hope you appreciate it and actually use it. So again, this is everything wrapped up here. This is how I do it. I guess I'll cover these real quick. Tax payback, that is basically the next distribution. You see I have it outlined as a border here. I'm going to come back and add up the taxes that we paid on payroll, essentially. Any taxes that we paid in general. All of that, in our case, is getting pulled out of owner's comp account. So I will pay it back from the tax account to the owner's comp account. because that is tax money that should be covering those expenses, not owner's comp money. Um, owner's bonuses. That is basically as the owner's comp accumulates money at the end of the quarter. If we basically have deposited more money in there than we have paid ourselves as owners, which typically happens, which is kind of cool, I will take a certain chunk of that and basically add it as a bonus to myself and to Danny. We'll still keep some to the side for rainy days like COVID, but we will cut ourselves bonuses. The last two checks that you've seen, part of that was owner bonuses, part of that was profit that was tossed into there. Vault draw, that is if for any reason I need to pull money from the vault for a fuck my life type of experience, or something bad happened, or we're making a big move, we had to put a big down payment on something. I just track that there. Owner's comp draw. This I honestly haven't used in the last year at all. I had that in there because when I was first figuring out my percentages, my OPEX was off. And the reason I found out was because I was not taking some tax money and paying back my OPEX. And so I was like, fuck, man, maybe I have my percentages off. So I basically took some of our money, our owner's comp money, and fed that into the OPEX account. But now that I got my percentages set, I have not had to touch that. It's been very smooth sailing. So owner's comp has been strictly owner's comp. PPP loan withdrawals, that was for me to be able to go through and track our PPP loan expenses, which was extremely short. It primarily went to payroll, but I just wanted to have a simple list to be able to go back and check and refer to when these fuckers came up and said, hey, if you want to have this forgiven, you got to prove blah, 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 blah. Made it super easy. So that's just something I did. Not necessary, obviously, if you don't have the loan and if you're not doing any of these draws, but just a couple little pointers if you do want to add it on. It's nice to have just like a one reference point. So again, if you don't know how to use Excel, YouTube, Google, try to learn it yourself first. That's my main thing that I'm going to push here. If you have any specific questions, go ahead and hit me up, and I'll definitely do whatever I can for you. Like Michael said, I'll be there, man. And I'm sorry, the last part here is just your totals of all of your accounts. So you can kind of take a peek over here and say, damn, all right, we did $11,000 in profit so far this year. You know, we also did $11,000 in taxes. Fuck you, Uncle Sam. But it's kind of like a year-end type of a total that accumulates. And again, you can see over here, these are totals. It's just simply saying it adds up the sum of all of these cells for each row. That's it, guys. I say that's it like this was a short video, which I know it was not. We're at about 20 minutes right now, but I wanted to make sure you understood it. And because I'm assuming not everybody's going to do this exactly the same as I do, I want you to be able to kind of understand my thought process behind what I was doing when I built this out. That way you guys can build your own out. So hope this helps. Definitely leave me some feedback if it does help. If you got any questions, please feel free to let me know. And if you do end up using it, let me know how it goes. I hope it's helpful. So me and Senor Sleepyhead over here, look at this little motherfucker, man. He just crashes. He's just like, I'm good. He doesn't care. As long as he's next to me, life is good. I got some studying to do, but I wanted to take some time out before I jumped into that rabbit hole to do this for you guys. So hope you like it. Hope it helps. And I will hopefully be back with another video soon. We'll see. Talk to you later, guys.